there, it is Suzy Walker here from Psychologies magazine. It's our Monday morning motivator. Welcome. Suzy Walker here, editor-in-chief of Psychologies magazine. This morning, as in every Monday morning, we are doing a broadcast on Monday morning motivational thoughts. And every Monday we ask one question around a coaching question, which will help you think differently and create a week that you love versus a week that can maybe drag you down. So coaching, we're big fans of coaching at Psychologies. I'm a coach myself. We have a brilliant coaching directory powered by Barefoot Coaching on our site. So if you want to hire a coach, then do so. Coaching helps you to work on your life rather than be in it. So today I want to ask the question of what can you be more curious about this week? What can you be more curious about this week? So often we go through life and we believe what we think is right, or we believe that the way we're handling things is the right way. And then often we come, across a brick wall or a conversation, and we get very kind of triggered by it, and they're wrong and I'm right, and that way of working or living or being is not right because I'm right. So, which is maybe true. That could be true. And you go, but what I'm asking you is to get really curious about whether that's true or not this week. So what I'm talking about is to investigate our belief systems that we may have running in our lives. So that's to get a bit curious about that. So often the way to sort of look at this is when this week, when you get irritated, it's normally a negative emotion that comes up, irritated or angry or cross or frustrated, or you're feeling really sad. And then instead of kind of going head to head with it and rejecting it or defending it or attacking the other person, what I want you to do is stop and get curious about it and say, okay, I first notice the emotion, and then what is the belief that is running underneath that emotion? So it is a feeling of I feel hard done to, and that they're doing it in the wrong way and my way is the right way. Or it may be that you believe that philosophy about life is wrong. It's wrong. You have a certain, you may be vegan and you find that meat eaters are completely wrong, and it's absolutely, so look about what's triggering you and what the belief that you have. And is there a way of thinking differently that might enable you to find a new way to navigate this week that can help? And I'm not saying that it's not right to eat vegan or to be a meat eater, whatever, but I'm asking you to get curious about it and to understand, why you believe things. So you may end up with more committed to a way of thinking than you were before. But what I'm asking is to get curious about it. So once you so for example, I was driving this weekend with somebody in my car, and they were perhaps criticizing my driving, which is never a good idea. So I was driving along and someone was criticizing my driving, and I was absolutely furious that somebody would criticize my driving. And then afterwards we kind of talked about it. But the issue was that I believe a certain thing, that you do a certain thing when you drive, when this person believes something else about, changing gear, etc. And this is the best way to drive. So we had this conflict. But when I got curious about that, I thought, okay, that's interesting. I wonder if that could be a new way that I could learn to drive. I wonder if I could try something new on. And one, it might help me drive better, maybe. It's not about me being right. It's just about trying something new, trying a new way to navigate life. And I'm trying to see it as a metaphor. I'm finding a new way to drive in life, and drive my life in life, and to be curious about that rather than be defensive and but my way is the right way. And this is what we're trying to do. I think there's a lot of what we're seeing in the world at the moment is I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. And it might be true that you're right and they're wrong. But when we get curious about our own reactions, when we get curious about the other person's point of view and why they may feel like that way, why you feel like that way, it may help you find some middle ground around how to navigate a way forward. I mean, a lot of the hostage negotiators work with this, is where's the middle ground? Where can we find a place where we have a meeting point? Even when you've got somebody might have completely opposite views to you, completely different political views, find out, why do they think that? What makes that? What has made them believe that that certain way of living their life is right for them? And as soon as you start getting curious about somebody else's view, then it makes sense, and you probably feel a lot more compassionate. I believe, that it's all about control and controlling your own destiny, and this is the way to do it, and da da da. And then you find out about their childhood, and you think they learned about controlling their own destiny because they had a pretty difficult childhood, and that was the way they survived. So that may make you feel a lot more compassionate. When you do the same with your own belief system, I believe that I have to drive and I have to navigate and I have to do it all because as a child, I definitely learned to navigate my own life. I had difficulties. My parents died when I was a teenager, so I had to learn how to do everything, to navigate, to drive. I didn't have anyone to show me the right way to drive, apart from the driving instructor, and then you forget it all. And so this is the way I've operated in life. And it's not that I did anything wrong, and I could be open to doing it better. So when I become open to doing something better, then my life and my driving might get a lot better than it is now. So for you, what can you get curious about in your own belief system and in your own behaviors, and also in other people's behaviors? So some great questions to ask is, what's the belief underneath it is? What do you believe about life? What do you believe about driving? What do you believe about food? What do you believe about politics? So this is what I believe. And is there another way to think? Is there another way to think? And if there was, what would it be? And what does that feel like? So, you're taking away from a very rigid point of view, this is the way it is and I am right, to, okay, what's the opposite way of thinking? What's the a different way of thinking? And then start exploring that. What might be going on for you to believe that? And what could be a different way to think that might serve you better? So again, we're not saying that you're going to adopt that new belief or whatever, but it's exploring it. In our course, Create the Life You Want, that we're doing at the moment, I talk about belief experiments, and to try on to play with beliefs like, that you are the most magnetic person in the room, that you believe that everyone is doing the best that they can, to create some belief systems. When you're driving in the car and people are cutting you up, sometimes I think I just send them love, and you don't know what happening, hence that they're speeding and cutting you up in traffic. You don't know. So rather than, what about creating a new story about what is happening in the world and how will that make you feel? And then be curious about, when you believe something differently, how does that make you feel? So when you can stop being so rigid in your beliefs and play with some beliefs, it will have an impact on the way you feel about yourself, and also the way you might feel about other people. And you may feel less defensive, more open, and it may help you just sift through some different options about the way you could live your life. So notice. So that's what I'm asking you today to do today on your Monday morning motivators, is get curious about the way you think. And often the way to do that is when you're triggered by some emotional thing, someone criticizing your driving, that it was for me this weekend, or someone telling you're wrong in a meeting, or somebody on a mobile phone. That sometimes drives me mad, and they're getting all of, they're ignoring me, is why I'm thinking. No, they're waiting for really important text from someone who, and they're, oh, just let me get this because, and I think, oh, well, are you ignoring me? No, it's not. So and then you're going to feel much more softer to that person, much more open and more loving to that person if you believe that they're not ignoring you. And then you can have a conversation about it afterwards. So what can you get curious about this week? And how can you explore thinking differently and noticing how you currently think, and see if there are other ways of thinking that lots of love, and speak to you next Monday. Bye bye. Bye bye.